What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to The World According to Briggs, and a look at cities where you could buy a home for under $100,000. That's right, we're looking at places you can live the American dream while working at Taco Bell. In case you're confused on what I just said, there are cities in the United States where you could make a down payment and get a mortgage while working fast food or the equivalent. Will you find Beverly Hills or Martha's Vineyard on this list? Absolutely not. There's a reason these homes are so cheap. They have some things that make them less appealing to the average person. Too much crime, no jobs, extreme poverty, whatever. Something is making these cities easy on the paycheck. This video is a look at US cities that have a bunch of homes for under $100,000. In most major cities, you could find a few homes for less than $100,000. They're gonna need some work. They're, probably burn out or something like that. But the cities on this list have a whole bunch of homes south of $100,000. In all honesty, I found 34 cities that fall into this category. This is just the 10 best. Let's take a look. Number 10, Pharr, Texas. Pharr is a city in Hidalgo County, Texas, which is right down by the border in the McAllen metro area. Pharr has a border crossing that is used mostly by 18-wheelers bringing stuff in from Mexico. And this place is not a bad place to live, and it's still dirt cheap. Their crime rate is actually 14% below the national average. They have a whole bunch of lots for sale that are like $60,000, $65,000. They have a few homes right now for under $80,000, and they might need a little bit of work. But you could get homes a little above what we've set our price range at for this video. If you go up to about $120,000, maybe even $140,000, you can get a really nice home here. The median home value in Pharr is $82,000. 65% of the property being sold here is under $100,000. So like I said, these cities have more than just a couple houses that are under $100,000. Number 9, Springfield, Ohio. I think every state in the United States has a Springfield someplace. I heard that's why Matt Groening gave The Simpsons a hometown of Springfield, so everyone could associate with it because there's a Springfield in all their states. He grew up here in Portland, and I know not about an hour, 2 hours away from Portland is Springfield, Oregon. I always assumed that that's where he got the name from. But no, Springfield, Ohio, like so many other Rust Belt cities, have seen better days. As a matter of fact, the entire state of Ohio has seen better days. Ohio actually has 4 cities on this list, but Springfield, it has some crime, it doesn't have the best schools, and it's got some poverty. Their crime rate is actually 143% higher than the national average. That sounds high, and I understand, but keep in mind, there's other cities in this country that have a crime rate that is like 450% higher than the national average. So they got some crime like this. If it's not a crime to paint your house this color, it should be. You could find homes for under $50,000 in Springfield, Ohio. They're probably not houses you'll want. You'll have to probably do too much work. But if you start getting into $70,000 and $80,000, it's a livable house. Sure, you're gonna have to do some work, but it's move-in ready, kind of. If you decide you want to dump $200,000 on a home here, you can get something really nice. The median home value in Springfield, Ohio is $81,000. 65% of the homes are under $100,000 in Springfield, Ohio. Number 8, Terre Haute, Indiana. I do not think we've ever talked about Terre Haute on this channel. We've done over 600 videos in the 5 or 6 years we've been doing this, and I don't think we've ever talked about Terre Haute. I love the name. I don't know. I've always liked the name Terre Haute. Terre Haute does have some crime and it does have some poverty. Actually, their crime rate is 162% higher than the national average. That's not good, but it's not the worst in the country, like I'll say throughout this video. The good news is you could get a move-in ready house here for around $60,000. Go up to $80,000, you'll get something decent. If you want to go crazy and live like a king here, you're probably looking at about $200,000. They also got places in the woods where you can buy a lot for under $15,000. The median home value in Terre Haute, Indiana is $79,000. 66% of the homes here are under $100,000. Number 7, Reading, Pennsylvania. Reading is another place I don't think we've ever talked about on this channel. I could be wrong again, but I don't think we have. Reading is between Harrisburg and Philadelphia, sort of. And none of their stats are really terrible. It's just they kind of suck all the way around. Nothing's extremely bad. It's just kind of medium suckage. Their crime rate is only 57% above the national average. Their income per capita is 55% lower than the national average. The good news is their cost of living is next to nothing and their houses are pretty cheap. Not my type of houses. I probably wouldn't move here because most of the houses under 100,000 are the kind that you share a wall with someone. I don't like that type of place. I need a little space. But if you don't mind sharing a wall with someone, you could have a house for under like $60,000 here that's move-in ready. Are they the best? No. Are they cheap? Absolutely. The median home value in Reading, Pennsylvania is $73,200, and 73% of the homes here are under $100,000. 73%. Almost 3/4 of the homes here go for under $100,000. Number 6, Anderson, Indiana. We have talked about Anderson before. It's not a great place to live, but it is cheap. Anderson is northeast of Indianapolis, between Indianapolis and Muncie, Indiana. If you want to do something outside of Anderson, you got two choices, Muncie or Indianapolis. That's like trying to decide between having wisdom teeth pulled and a prostate exam. The crime rate in Anderson is a little high. It's 82% higher than the national average. They got some poverty issues, but their cost of living is actually 18% lower than the national average. Their housing is 51% lower than the national average. You could easily find a livable house like move-in ready for under $100,000 here. It's not hard to find one that's under $80,000 that's ready to go. In Anderson, the median home value is $72,900, and 73% of the homes here are worth less than $100,000. Number 5, Canton, Ohio. Back to the Buckeye State we go with Canton. Canton, Ohio is about 60 miles south of Cleveland. It's actually the adopted home of President William McKinley. He was born someplace else, but actually moved here and first practiced law in Canton. It is home to his presidential library and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that's why anytime you're watching like a football game and they're talking about someone that's really good, they always make the comment, well, we're going to see him in Canton someday. So that's pretty cool. What's really not cool is their crime rate is actually 168% higher than the national average. Their cost of living is next to nothing and their home prices are really low. If you look past all their bad stats and stuff like that, and they get really cold winters, this is a great place to live. They have tons of homes that are under $80,000 that look like they're well maintained. I'm looking at one right now. It's $62,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 2 stories. It looks really nice. Manicured lawn, painted, no bars on the window. They have a lot of really nice older homes here for under $80,000. The median home value in Canton, Ohio is $71,100. Homes worth less than $100,000, 71% of them are. Number 4, Cleveland, Ohio. About 60 miles up the 77 from Canton, you find Cleveland. I'm sorry, it's actually probably in Ohio called Interstate 77. I'm from California. We just go by the number. It's a weird thing, I know. Everywhere else in the country, they go by Interstate or I-55 or 271, whatever the case is. California, we just say the 110, the 405, the 710, things like that. It's weird. I know. Anyway, you just head up Interstate 77 and you run into Cleveland if you're leaving Canton. Cleveland has been a mess for a lot of years, but it is showing signs of a turnaround. The last couple of years, people have been moving in. They've been developing certain areas. So maybe it has a, future again in the near future. Right now, not so much. And that means everything's cheap. Why is it cheap? Well, their crime rate's 144% higher than the national average. And their poverty rate is 138% higher than the national average. So they don't have a lot of good stats until you start looking at cost of living and housing. Their overall cost of living is 16% lower than the national average, and housing is 54% lower than the national average. If you get past the crime and that poverty rate that's 138% higher than the national average, it's not a bad place to live. It is not hard to find a house for under $80,000 in Cleveland. If you want something really nice, you're looking at $95,000 and below. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have homes that are way over that, but the homes that are under $90,000 are not bad. They're livable. You just have to have enough intestinal fortitude to withstand a Cleveland winter and, the humiliation of telling your family you're actually moving to Cleveland. The median home value in Cleveland, Ohio is $69,600. Homes worth less than $100,000, 73% of them. Number 3, Pontiac, Michigan. What is a cheap list without a Michigan city in it? You got the poster child for cities that have cheap housing. At one point, Detroit was trying to give away homes. All you had to do was pay the back taxes. And sometimes those taxes were all the way up to like $800. Pontiac doesn't have great stats, but they're not terrible either. Their total crime rate is only 39% higher than the national average. Their income per capita is 40% lower than the national average, and their poverty rate is 127% above the national average. But here's the good news. Their cost of living is 14% lower, and their housing is 60% lower than the national average. They have tons of homes that are under $100,000 in Pontiac, and they have a bunch of vacant lots you could buy for $15,000, $20,000. And they're like whole acre lots too. One bummer is Pontiac is in the Detroit metro area, but it's on the outskirts. The median home value in Pontiac, Michigan is $67,100, and homes worth less than $100,000, 74%. Number 2, Dayton, Ohio. And there's not a lot of good things going on in Dayton, Ohio until you look at the cost of living and the home prices. Dayton's really a place most Ohio natives go to if they're living in Cleveland and they want to feel better about living in Cleveland. They go check out Dayton for a couple days. Dayton does have a crime rate that's 110% higher than the national average. Their poverty is 140% higher than the national average, but they do have some good news. Their cost of living is 18% lower than the national average. Housing is 55% lower than the national average. Other good news they have? I'm just kidding. They don't have any other good news. Dayton does have a ton of well-maintained homes ready to go for under $80,000. It is not hard to find one. You can find houses that are more expensive than $80,000, over $90,000, but a majority of the houses here are under $100,000. The median home value in Dayton, Ohio is $66,800, and the percentage of homes worth less than $100,000, 76% of them, over 3/4. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. Please go over there, subscribe, watch some videos, trying to grow that channel. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is a weird place. Its crime rate never gets them into the top 10 list. Same thing with their poverty or their housing. They're just, you got your cities that are kind of middle of the road. Then you got your suckage cities. They're just kind of barely in the suckage city category. The crime rate in Gary, Indiana is only 75% higher than the national average. And the reason I say only, because you just hear horrible things about them, like it's this horrible place. It's not great, but it's not East St. Louis. Their poverty rate is 120% higher than the national average, but the good news is their cost of living is 10% lower and their housing is 60% lower than the national average. You can find a lot of older homes that are nice, well-maintained. Some of them have been totally remodeled, and they'll go for like $65,000. If you're a big spender, you can spend $140,000 and live like a king in Gary, Indiana. The median home value in Gary, Indiana is $66,000. 77% of the homes in Gary, Indiana right now are under $100,000. All right, that's today's video, and this video is for all the people that freak out every time I say something like $250,000 is cheap for a home. $100,000, most anyone in the United States that works full-time can afford a $100,000 home. Might take a little saving, but you can get it done. American dream of owning a home is there for all of us. You just sometimes might have to move to a place that's not the best. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.